Boys, let's talk about some wide receivers that if you draft them, you are going to be donating your league fee, and you will have no chance of winning your league. These are three early round wide receivers. Quick question. Now we got Ryan with us. Ryan, I need you to tell me, was there a player last year that you drafted that was an automatic donation to your league once you hit the draft button? I can give you some time if you'd like, because I did it. One of my buddies was in a work league, and he asked me to draft for him. And by that time, I'd already drafted 3 or 4 teams. So I'm like, let's get some variety. Let's draft some guys I don't usually draft. And I took Saquon, and that was single-handedly the death of my team.
I took Julio in a lot of leagues. But he was a little bit later.
He was like 6th round, I think. Yeah. So that's still someone that can lose your league.
I'm trying to think of someone that was really bad or got hurt. I can't remember, to be honest. I had pretty good fantasy football seasons last year.
That's good.
Not to brag.
That's good for the people.
Not to brag.
But three guys, they're all going within, I think we got the first 4 rounds of your drafts right now. Yeah. So again, if you miss on these guys, it's really hard to bounce back with. If you guys enjoy the video, be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel. We'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel. Ryan will personally rate and review every one of your fantasy teams that you draft if you subscribe to this channel.
This is true. This is a true statement. If we get to 20,000 subscribers before football season, which is it's only in 2 weeks, so it's definitely manageable, I will do something outrageous.
Okay.
We're going to have to define what that outrageous thing is, but yeah. I will. I promise.
Okay, let's get to the first player, Ryan. Why don't you start?
Okay. If you are drafting DK Metcalf in your league, just head over to St. Jude's and make the donation there instead of paying your league fee, because that's pretty much what you're going to do. DK Metcalf, in a completely new offense now that Russell Wilson's gone, you either have Drew Lock or it's looking like maybe Geno Smith. I feel like there might be a little bit more stock in Drew Lock at this point because they traded for him in the Russell Wilson trade along with Noah Fant. But right now, DK Metcalf's going... he's a wide receiver 18, end of the 4th roundish. There's guys going around him like DJ Moore, guys going after him like Cortland Sutton, which is outrageous considering you're getting a completely different quarterback attack by both of these two receivers now. And just looking at this team overall, I mean, Drew Lock last year played like 4 games and was not good. But in 2020, he played 13 games, started 13 games. He was their quarterback in Denver. And the best receiver finish for a Bronco that season was Tim Patrick at wide receiver 44.
Yeah.
Wide receiver 44. And look, Cortland Sutton played like 1 game that year, got hurt. He was done. But Jerry Jeudy played 16 games. Noah Fant was there. He didn't have much better of a season than Tim Patrick that year either. Just no really touchdown volume at all. And then last year when he did play the 4 games, there wasn't a single week where a receiver finished inside of there was one receiver that finished inside wide receiver 50 for a week in the 4 games that he played in the top 50. So he really does not give any sort of value to any receiver. DK Metcalf is super talented. When you have a quarterback that's QBR was 23.4. 23.4 last year.
I got to see that shit in person. It was bad.
Ugh, man. It was so bad. And you know, the variable here is Russell Wilson. He led the league, Tyler reminded me, led the league last year in 20 yards plus passes or percentage attempts. It was like 8% or something like that, right? 18%, which is where DK flourishes. He's a big receiver like Cortland Sutton, a guy we're all high on. We think is going to do well for that exact fact. Cortland Sutton had 27 deep targets last year. Only 11 were deemed catchable, and he caught 8 of those. So if DK Metcalf gets that sort of volume, we're not going to see him finishing anywhere near the wide receiver 25 or 20 where he's going right now. And look, even if Geno Smith does start, I think it gives him a little bit better of a chance to succeed, but I'm still not putting stock in the fact that this guy's going to finish inside the top 20 as a receiver this year. This is one of my most confident bets of fantasy football this year. I do not think DK Metcalf will be a top 25 receiver in fantasy.
Yeah, it's hard to watch him and think that this can't happen because he is so talented, but I also think that Pete Carroll's probably going to be, as much as he's probably not excited about the team, but he's probably excited to run the football a whole hell of a lot with Rashad Penny and Kenneth Walker.
And DK is very moody, you know. I feel like if he doesn't get off to a hot start, I feel like there's going to be a lot of turmoil in Seattle. Maybe he even demands a trade. Like, who knows?
Payday though.
He did get his payday. He did get paid after holding out of camp for a bit too, right? So like, I'm really down on DK Metcalf, a guy that if you're taking right now, he's going at the end of 4th round. There's so many better options. So there's 6 receivers going after him that I would take before him. Cortland Sutton won him. Even Marquise Brown is a guy I'd probably take before him. especially with D-Hop out. So they're just like, you got to look at the quarterback situation here. I just really don't think it's something
on
I'm looking at.
On the side of diva, I don't think he'd ever get to Antonio Brown diva levels where he'd
No.
be like, I'm just disappointed that I didn't get to watch myself play on Sunday.
Yeah, that was just outrageous. He's
kind of the
insane.
GOAT for that. I love that. That was actually an awesome thing to say.
Yeah, I
Goes
mean-
to show where his brain is kind of at this point in his life. Okay, Cole, you got another guy for us.
So my guy, A.J. Brown. So he's currently going as the wide receiver 10, sandwiched between Mike Evans, a guy we love, and who's the other guy? Keenan Allen. So firstly, I just want to know what you guys think about that. Keenan Allen going behind him and right there with Mike Evans.
Yeah, I have Keenan, and I have Mike well ahead of A.J. Brown, and then I have Keenan a little bit ahead of A.J. Brown. Just again, like you said, the offenses are like those offenses are much more exciting for me to get in on. So
Yeah, 100%. I'm taking Keenan Allen and Mike Evans before A.J. Brown without even a look.
now I have him as a top 12 receiver. I know you don't.
I don't.
Yes.
No, I really don't like him. He's coming from a Titans offense where he was the clear alpha dog wide receiver 1, 32.9% target rate, which was 4th in the NFL, 40.8% air yard share, which was 3rd in the NFL. Julio was hurt. Julio was not himself. He really didn't have much competition for targets, and he didn't actually do all that well. He averaged 13.9 fantasy points a game last year, which was 24th out of receivers.
That's A.J. Brown, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then coming from that Titans offense to an Eagles offense that was last in passing attempts last year, second most in rushing attempts behind the Titans, actually. But Jalen Hurts, good QB, but I don't really know if he has the passing talent to sustain a top 12 wide receiver fantasy season. Last year, he was outside of the top 25 in true completion percentage, true passer rating, accuracy rating, and catchable pass rate out of all QBs. And speaking of the Eagles, they have a ton of other talented options. Devontae Smith, 100-plus targets last year. Dallas Goedert is a top 12 tight end. He had 70 targets last year. And then they still have Quez Watkins, who had almost 700 receiving yards last year.
Wow,
Jalen
really?
Weegar, they spent a first-round pick on. Kenneth Gainwell and Miles Sanders get a lot of receiving work. So a ton of options in the Eagles' offense for an offense that throws the ball the least in the NFL, and their wide receivers still being taken in the top 10 at the position. Makes no sense to me.
Yeah. I'd curious to see, like, when's the last time, well, I guess Jalen Hurts was his first full year last year, but, like, the last time an Eagles receiver finished, like, really high. I feel like they've just kind
Alshon
of...
Jeffrey.
Alshon Jeffrey, right. When
That was
Nick
like,
Foles
yeah.
was there, or Wentz's
Wentz.
MVP-ish season or whatever.
I don't know where. I think Alshon was on the cusp of a top 12 year that season because that was Wentz's MVP year.
Yeah.
But he still dealt with injury, so I don't know exactly where he finished.
Yeah, I mean, just the direction that this offense is going, it just doesn't really seem like the right decision to be taking a receiver on this offense, even if it is A.J. Brown so early. Like, obviously, he's boys with Jalen Hurts, but I just think their running game is just too strong. Like, there's no way they're ever going to stray away from that point. Even in late game situations, like, they can pick up big chunk yards running the ball. I don't really think they even need to put that much emphasis on the pass game.
So here's where I'm at. Like I said, I still have AJ Brown as a top 12 guy. I think that the people that will suffer in this offense are Dallas Goedert and Devontae Smith.
Yeah, me too.
So Brown was able to be a very good fantasy asset in a low volume passing offense. Now, can we give more credit to that to Tannehill being a better passing quarterback than Jalen Hurts? Certainly. But if you look at some of the underlying numbers, I think it speaks to they ran the ball so much. Teams probably played a lot of personnel that were heavier, not a lot of DBs, and Hurts took a lot of shots. I was looking at where he ranked in terms of the percentage of attempts. It was right up near the top in terms of 20-plus yards. And if you look at Devontae Smith, his ADOT was pretty high last year. So this is where I think Brown can kind of show us that he's super, super talented and can still produce in the low volume. So I still like him. To me, he's not a do-not-draft guy just because of his talent, but I can certainly understand it when you look at the volume of the offense and how much they're probably going to run the ball still. I think they went to Brown to be better when they do throw it. I don't think they're going to throw it more because Jalen Hurts is just this isn't a guy that can succeed in an offense that is throwing the ball on 60% of plays. It's just not possible.
Yeah, I agree. I just think he's just getting drafted too high. Like that's it, right?
Like I wouldn't not draft him. I don't like him at his ADP at all, and I like a lot of the receivers.
If he ends up falling like a little bit further down in like the wide receiver, he's wide receiver 10 right now?
10, yeah.
It's like 15, 16 range, maybe, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But Taking him before DK Metcalf, I'll tell you that for free.
Yeah, exactly.
Fair enough.
This is a guy like Brown is firmly ahead of the guy I have, and then he's up, but the guy I have is also ahead of DK Metcalf. I'm going with Jaylen Waddle of the Miami Dolphins. I look at some of the guys going around him that I much rather prefer. Looking at Travis Etienne and Breece Hall at running back. And then Deontay Johnson and DJ Moore, to me, give me a safer floor than I can find with Jaylen Waddle. Last season, Jaylen Waddle finished as the wide receiver 13. He was 10th in targets, though, 140 targets. He had a ton of volume in the Dolphins offense. Obviously, now it's changing. With Mike McDaniel at head coach, with Tyreek Hill coming in. I'm looking at some of these underlying numbers. Among all players to eclipse 1,000 yards, only Hunter Renfrow had a lower average depth of target. Waddle's was 7 yards. A lot of that comes down to Tua and his capabilities as a passer. He kind of lives near the line of scrimmage. And my concern is, again, Tua had the 4th lowest average depth of target in the league, and only 7.5% of his attempts were 20-plus yards last season. The only 2 guys that were lower were Daniel Jones and Andy Dalton.
The Red Rifle. Don't slander the Red Rifle.
The Red Rifle is well
He's past his prime. Oh, for sure.
It was ridiculous that that Matt Nagy was silly enough to be like, Andy Dalton's our starter. He's going to start week 1, and then within a few weeks, that move was made. But again, I'm combining with the arrival of Tyreek and then the fact that last year their offense was 23rd in rush rate, but then you bring in Mike McDaniel, whose San Francisco offense was 4th in rushing rate. And Jimmy, this isn't a good sign if you think Tua, you're watching the practice videos of Tua slinging a ball 35 yards downfield to Tyreek. Sometimes, most of the time, they post the video and he's kind of underthrown. Or there was the other one last week where it was a complete duck and nowhere near the guy. But Jimmy was tied with Tua for 7.5% of his attempts were 20-plus yards.
Interesting.
So McDaniel's offense might run the ball more and still not attempt a lot of explosive plays. And maybe if I could give anything, maybe there's the chance that McDaniel opens up this offense to create more opportunities for yards after the catch, because Debo and Ayuk were great at that, same with Kittle last year. But Waddle was 43rd in yards after the catch per reception. So maybe it's Tyreek that's the guy that's the beneficiary in picking up yards after the catch, because that's something he's typically done in his career. I'm concerned that Waddle's a guy that gives me is battling for 1,000 yards, doesn't get the 140 targets, gets more like 120, and then we're like, well, this guy just can't meet the expectations we have for him this year. Again, not someone I completely avoiding, but if the guys that I mentioned are available, I'm going with all of them over Waddle right now.
Are you taking DK or Jaylen Waddle?
I'll take Waddle.
Yeah,
I like
would
the
too,
offense
for sure.
better.
Yeah.
Again, I think he's going to give me more safer floor than DK does. DK needs to hit some big plays.
You brought up some interesting points there with his average depth of target and Mike McDaniel coming over.
Yeah.
I
think
totally
they're gonna run the ball
agree.
more.
I think they're going to run the ball more as well. I just wonder if they haven't really given, did Flores really give Tua a chance to
Was
develop?
sheltered.
I feel like he was very sheltered. He wasn't allowed to do a lot with the offense. I wonder if McDaniel will have a little bit more confidence. I think that's the only way we see Tyreek and Jaylen Waddle succeed. Because I've seen a ton of these bullshit models that CBS Sports and stuff, and a lot of people are having Tua as a guy who's going to break out this year.
Yeah, right.
So it'll be interesting to see. But I don't hate that take at all.
Is he going behind T. Higgins or above him?
He's going behind him, yeah.
Okay,
Deontay
good.
Johnson's going a few picks in front of Waddle, and then DJ Moore's going a few picks after him. I just think that there's a chance that I could be wrong on this, and that the offense takes this ridiculous step with McDaniel at head coach. But I'm not really willing to bet on it because of the way the Shanahan coaching tree kind of plays itself out. So if you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to let us know. Drop a like, subscribe to the channel. We're also going to open up a listeners league at some point within the next few weeks. So if you're in the Discord, that's how we will select some people to join us. They'll be some of the most active people in our Discord channel. So go check that out. The link to the Discord is down below in the description. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.